The next panel that we will hear from is from Galen Price and Josh Caballero we'll talk about housing on this next panel. So let's welcome Galen and Josh. So as we just finished talking about financial security, but a huge component of security in just personal security in our community is housing. And when you have a roof over your head, it kind of just makes you feel a little bit more comfortable and secure, right? And so we know that in Waco, we have about 49,000 households in our community. So in January of 2022, the Community Housing and Development Department presented a final draft of a housing strategic plan to the council. And in this plan was highlighted that amongst the 49,000 households, over 7,000 of those households are precariously housed. And so what does that mean? They don't know what they're going to do. And a number of those folks, a number of those individuals are worshiping with you, serving with you on a daily basis. So extremely low and low income households are paying more than 30% of their income on housing. When your housing costs are more than 30% of your total income, that is not affordable. And so decisions are having to be made. And so that's the beauty of the panel that you just heard, that they have opportunities around financial security to help individuals grow their wealth, grow their income. But this morning I wanted to spend a little time with Galen and Josh to talk about the housing strategic plan and what that means, and what are some of the programs that we offer, and how can the population here today, how can they ensure that their congregants actually, or members, understand and know how to access those programs?
Excuse me. Well, what I'll start off with is some of our existing programs. Excuse me, good morning, everyone. Just dive right in, I'm sorry. So we have a home rehabilitation program, and that's a program geared towards individuals who actually already own their home. This home provides this program provides up to $50,000 to assist with repairs in your home. So if there's a need for a HVAC, if you have plumbing issues, if you have electrical issues, as well as if there's a need for a roof. Now, we do have a partnership for roof specifically with one of our nonprofits here in the community, Grassroots Community Development. But outside of just the roof, if there's additional needs within the household, then we have funds available to assist you with that, or assist your congregants with that. In addition to our rehab program, as a part of that, we have a program called Lead is Preventable. And that is geared towards families who have children under the age of 6, or a pregnant woman in the household can receive assistance with those funds. And now those funds are used to provide for the removal or abatement of lead-based paint. And so when you think about lead-based paint, we're talking about windows, exterior paint, interior paint, as well as flooring. A lot of times we don't realize how much, or the potential of lead that's in your home until you've actually had the home tested. Now, the home must be built prior to 1978, which in the city of Waco, our average housing stock is about 60 years old. And so just to put that in perspective, we had over, when we applied for these funds, we had over 28,000 homes that qualified that were built pre-1978. And so those are funds that are available as well. Now, for individuals who are looking to purchase a home, we do have a down payment and closing cost assistance program that provides up to $25,000 to assist with the purchase of a home. Now, the requirement is that the home be within the Waco city limits. Now, that does not mean the individual has to currently live in Waco, but that individual, to participate in the down payment assistance program, must be purchasing a home within the Waco city limits. Now, typically, we have about $500,000 allocated on an annual basis for our rehab program, and about $200,000 allocated annually on our down payment and closing cost assistance program. But recently, the city council took some of our American Rescue Plan Act dollars and allocated additional funds to be made available for those specific existing programs that we have. So we have, needless to say, we have plenty of resources available for your congregants to participate in these programs.
Galen, talk a little bit more around the ARP dollars in regards to home assistance and around rehab. Do I have to make a certain amount? Specifically on the ARP funds, let's talk about that, just digging a little bit deeper on who qualifies for that.
So for the ARP funding, it's a little bit easier actually to qualify, and it is based on we have a two-part test, if you will, that you can qualify under. It's the initial test would be if you live in what's called a qualified census tract. And so to give you an example of what a qualified census tract would be, all of East Waco is a qualified census tract. And so just based on address, if you live and reside in East Waco, then you would qualify for assistance under the ARP program with the expansion of our rehab program. The other qualification, if you don't live in a qualified census tract, would be from an income level. Now, the income levels for ARPA funding is 300% of the federal poverty level. And so to give you a comparison versus our normal programs, under our CDBG and home guidelines, a family of one can earn up to $39,150. Well, under the ARP program, a family of one can earn approximately $43,000. So it's a little bit higher income level if there's a need to qualify on that income basis.
And then, so if I apply for the program and I'm awarded, I'm able to receive funding, what are the drawbacks? Should I be concerned about potentially there being a lien on my house, or should I be concerned? What should I be concerned about?
Yes, and let me give you let me attempt to debunk some of the myths that are out there about participating in our program. We do place a lien on the property, but it's what's called a deferred forgivable loan. And what that means is that as long as you remain in the property for up to 15 years, depending on the amount of assistance that you receive, then that loan is forgiven, a portion of that loan is forgiven annually. And so in a lot of cases, we're dealing with some of our senior residents who have lived in their home for 20 or 30 years. So the likelihood of them moving after the work has been done is slim and none. Another myth that I want to speak on is, well, let's say if God forbid the homeowner passes away during this time period that the lien is on. Well, we have the ability, or you have the ability, if there is someone else in the family who wants to move into the home and qualifies under the program guidelines, then they would be able to assume the rest of that lien period, and that would be done at no cost to the existing home. And so what that means that if there's someone else who qualifies, can move into the property and fulfill the remaining years of that loan.
So when we talk about generational wealth, that's one of the things we know and we understand that for those who are in poverty, that home ownership is a way out of that. And so, Josh, talk to us a little bit about how, as we begin to implement or started implementing the housing strategic plan, what things are we looking at? What are we doing to improve that?
Yeah, so I think one thing is, as we begin to implement the strategic plan, so the study that came out and the plan that was kind of produced really has 17 recommendations in there. And so that is a lot of information, a lot of potential strategies that could be used to help benefit our housing situation here in Waco. And so one thing that we're wanting to do is really engage community members throughout that process with us. And so one thing that we have done is, because we do have existing programs and we know that those can be expanded and that will help and benefit, but really engaging folks to understand what that needs to look like in each area of town. We know that Waco looks very different in East Waco or South Waco, North Waco. Priorities are different. That's going to be, there's going to be vast understandings and ideas of what is needed in the community from community members. And so that's one thing we're wanting to do. But also, as we look through this and kind of roll these things out, we're wanting to ensure that affordability is something that can be maintained long term. And so there are a number of strategies that we've begun looking at. So one is we really need to look at, we have, according to the housing study that came out, there are about 6,000 approximately vacant properties within our city. That is huge. Thank you. That is a huge amount of vacant properties. And to be honest, that's based on an estimate in the study. And so we are wanting to identify what is actually the real situation with each of those properties. Is that how many we actually have? What is the situation with each of those properties, so that we can then begin to determine what our strategies need to be. Do we have a lot of properties that are sitting vacant and are abandoned and dilapidated? Do we have properties that are just being sat on by outside investors? Do we have properties that are mixed up in a tangled title situation? We really don't know. We assume that it's probably all of those things. So one thing we are doing currently is we have partnered with Baylor, and we are actually undergoing a process right now based on best practices that we've seen across the country to really begin to identify what those vacant properties are. And so we are creating a database internally here at the city to really kind of help guide what strategies need to look like. But the other thing is there are multiple strategies. Neighborhood revitalization, right? What does that look like in a community? We've started meeting with community and neighborhood resident stakeholders to really begin to identify what that looks like. Because we certainly have ideas, but we really need community members to also provide input into that process if we're going to do this well. And our intent is to do this with you all as community and not just us by ourselves. And so that's another thing. We've also looked at a number of other strategies that have been done in other cities, like community land trusts, housing trusts, to really see what that could look like here as potential ways to preserve affordability long term.
So when you talked a little bit about on the neighborhood revitalization, what can this body do to assist us in that process?
That's a great question. So one thing I will say is you all have access to community members that we don't, right? Me and my team are doing our absolute best to engage with as many community members as possible. We've set up lots of individual meetings. We've been meeting, and we're getting folks involved with that team. But you have access to community members that we just never will, to be quite honest. And those voices and input is important. And so we will ask for your help in that way. So that can look like a couple of things. So one, we've just launched some neighborhood revitalization teams, one for each area of town. And we've also launched a core partner team. And so if you would like to be a part of that, please reach out to our department. My information, I've got my cards here. And so you can contact me afterwards or visit Housing and Community Development has a table out there, and you can grab our information there as well. So if you know someone who should be on one of those teams, please let us know. We would love to speak with them and engage with them as a part of that. But the other thing is, you as a congregation can also host a focus group yourself. And we would be more than happy to come and meet, and you pull community members, and we would be more than happy to come and meet with you and kind of go through a process to hear directly from you and your parishioners, to hear what you feel is needed in your community where you are serving, where you are placed and located, and kind of help that inform our strategies and implementation plan moving forward.
So Galen, I'll ask you the same thing. Based on the various housing programs that we have in order to improve the housing stock and assist those, what can the audience today do to help you? Because we have money to spend, and we really want to spend it.
Absolutely. And so I would say that, you know, we, as Josh mentioned, we have the table here outside in the foyer, and we have lots of information that we can provide. And if there's an opportunity for us to come visit, speak with you, speak with your congregants, if you want us to come out and quite frankly do a targeted outreach for your organization specifically, we're willing to do so. We call us and we will come. We have done a lot of outreach because we have a lot of money to spend, and we don't want to be a disservice to you and the community by not giving you access to these funds. And so if you have constituents that need assistance with filling out your application, the applications are done online, but we can either come to you, we set appointments through our office to walk people individually through the application if they need assistance with their application. And so our number is 254-750-5656. Again, we have a table out in the foyer. We're towards the back, just so I can give you an idea of where we're at. So if you need information, or please go gather information, and you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us.
And Galen, beyond housing, because you are the Housing and Community Development Department, beyond housing, what other things do you all do within that department?
What we do, on the community development side, we do partnerships with nonprofits. We partner with several social service programs throughout the community with our community development block grant dollars. And so we partner with organizations such as Mission Waco, Talitha Kum, let's see who else. I'm drawing a blank. With Grassroots, with a couple of programs. We've partnered with Salvation Army as well. During COVID, we did provide funding for them to assist with shelter operations 24/7. And also, we do work with the We All Win program. And so we've done that, and we're looking to expand and do even more with the dollars that we have, because, you know, understanding from a housing standpoint, housing is really about a holistic approach. It's one thing to provide a roof over someone's head, but we also want to make sure that those other needs are met to help them sustain and enhance a quality of life that individuals deserve to have. So,
And I know we heard from the first panel about those that were providing technical assistance through the We All Win program, but can you give the group here just a glimpse into what we've done so far with We All Win?
yes, so far with We All Win, we've helped 22 businesses, and we've expended about $540 $43,000 to date through our We All Win program. And so that's through the ARPA grant, that's through TIF funding, as well as Barriers to Success. And of course, the application opened citywide and closed on February 4th, and we're going through those applications currently, and we will be announcing awards within the next 2 weeks for several more businesses as we continue to work through the applications that we've received.
Okay, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you really feel like the audience should know?
I would say that just really these are federal dollars, and so there are there are requirements associated with these dollars. However, they're not insurmountable. A lot of times people hear that, oh, this is a federal program, so a wall is thrown up and eliminate themselves before they even apply. And so I would encourage you to go ahead and apply, because there are a lot of opportunity that's available, and we as a department are here to help through the application process. We do not just, here's your application, bring it back when it's completed. No, if there's a need, and if you need us to help you walk through those applications, or any of your constituents and congregants to walk through those applications, we're available to do so. In order for our programs to be successful, it takes you for us to be successful. In order for us to spend these dollars, it takes you for us to be able to expend these dollars. And so we're going to do what we can to help you as extensions of us in our communities to serve our community. So.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. Oh, yeah. None of these are working. I was just going to add to that we really do want to partner with you. And so even if you're uncertain what that could look like, I think there are creative ways that we could think through together to really think about how we can work together to really make the difference when it comes to housing in our community. So there might be underutilized space in your building. You might have tracts of land that could be used in certain ways. And so there's a lot of potential, I think, in creative ways that we could really begin to think through together what that could look like, and to really make an impact when it comes to housing in our community. We know that the study indicated that we have a huge need in that area, so we have rolled up our sleeves to really get to work to begin to address that and make an impact. And we really ask you to join us in that effort as well. So.
Okay. Well, I think this panel is what's standing between this group having a break and lunch. And so thank you all for your time this morning. Thank you for what you do and how you do it. And I really thank you all, audience, for listening and taking the information that they've provided to help not only your congregants, but our community as a whole. You got it.
All right. Guys, I don't know if I can make this joke in Waco, but I've drunk the Kool-Aid on the city business, so I'm really finding this riveting, and I don't know if you guys are, but I think this is really, really riveting information. And even if you're not, to me, I'm like, the culture of Waco is home. It just, to me, like one of the biggest identifiers of what Waco's about is this culture of home. And so this work that our team is doing is so important. And there's so many houses in Waco that need repair. And so I want you just right now to think about that one block where like every single house needs significant repair or cleanup or help here. And if I can think of many blocks, I'm sure many of us can. And so my hope is that you'll think about, pray about, and continue to think about how to distribute information about these resources available. And also consider or praying about helping, whether that's doing an Adopt a Block program or hosting a cleanup day. A lot of the housing work that could really be accomplished isn't as heavy structural. It's just some folks that need some cleanup work. Circle up with some folks in your congregation that might know a little, have a little know-how about construction, and deploy those. Partner with other churches, maybe. I think that's another part of our culture in Waco is unity. Connect to some of our nonprofits who do housing work if you want to, but use our housing resources. I think the biggest takeaway is that whether you want to serve or whether you have people who have need with regard to housing, call us because we would be able to potentially help. I'm glad Galen clarified that these are federal dollars because there might be some tax-paying friends out there that are like, if you have all this money to give away, then maybe you should lower our taxes. But these are federal dollars that we really want and are desiring to deploy to meet this incredible need in our community. And again, you can be helped with that. Okay, we're going to go to lunch, and when we come back, Chief Victorian will be the next presenter. We have an amazing police chief, so I hope that you'll be looking forward to hearing from her. Please go check out the resource tables in the back during this lunch break. There's a lot of city departments represented there that you can learn some things about. There's also some nonprofits, some great ones like Creative Waco, and then also our Families in Foster Care Coalition. That's an incredible need in this community right now as well. So go check that out and see some of the work that they're doing and how you can assist with that. I'm going to close this in prayer, and then we will go to lunch. Dear God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather. We pray that these resources and information will allow Waco to be a city where people have the opportunity to live happy, whole, healthy lives, Lord. We thank you for all of the work that's being done and pray for more to come that will be good. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.